Hi, Trevor here, Live Reflection Requests. Welcome and thank you for stopping by. It's fantastic you are here. Well, this channel has received another request, and this request came through conversation with somebody who said, what about these guys? And so I thought, well, yeah, why not? So that's the best way requests come. But please note the invitation that if you want to make a request, feel free. So the history of this group, who are only around for a really short time, really, but an iconic bunch of people at the same time. Mid-1960s. So we had the band Cream, and that had such icons as Eric Clapton and Ginger Baker. And between 66 and 69 they released 4 albums, and while Cream was doing their things, we had another band called Traffic with the iconic Steve Winwood and Rick Gersh, and between 1967 and 1974 there were 7 albums plus a few other little bits and pieces a bit later. Now those 4 guys got together in 1969 and said, hey, you know, we kind of enjoying doing this thing. Our bands are kind of coming to a bit of an end a little bit. What are we going to do? So they came together and they formed the band Blind Faith. So when you think about people like Eric Clapton and Steve Winwood in particular, now people are going to get very, very excited to see a collaboration between those 2 guys. And so sure enough, in 1969, there was the one and only concert where 100,000 people came to hear them in Hyde Park in London. Now, as I've said, Blind Faith only ever released 1 album, Blind Faith, and there's a little bit of a controversy around the album cover. What I've actually done is I've put a Wikipedia entry to the link to the particular album. You can see what I mean. It created quite a bit of controversy when it came out. But that album went really, really well. It went #1, considering who was in this band, Clapton and Winwood and a couple of others. It was #1 in the UK, Canada and the US. It was certified platinum, selling over 1 million copies. So, Blind Faith today. The song I was asked to look at was the song Presence of the Lord. Now, when you think of, oh, that's a bit of a strange title, you might be thinking. Well, a bit of history goes with this song, that when this song was written, both Winwood and Clapton were in amongst, you know, we're talking about late 1960s here, so drugs, sex and rock and roll was very much the theme of the day, the hippie movement, all of the stuff that was going on there as well. You know, it's a pretty wild ride for these guys. And I think it got to the point that they said, hang on a minute, our lives are kind of going a bit off track here. We need to do something about it, and we need to put a stop to our wild lifestyle. So this song really, and really the whole album, there's a bit of a realization moment for these guys about, you know, where they were headed. And I think of the term presence of the Lord. I think a way to look at this is to say, well, look, you know, our lives aren't going so well now. In fact, we're probably going to kill ourselves if we keep going the way that we are. So we need to come to a place, almost a holy, sacred place, and to be so compelled by that place that we need to make a change. Presence of the Lord. And but you know, if it's not a compelling place, well, no change is really going to happen. There's got to be something so life-changing that the sex, drugs and rock and roll thing just kind of comes to a bit of an end. And so, you know, that's very much where we're headed today. And so if you're in a place right now where you're thinking, well, you know, my life's pretty crazy, my weekends are pretty full on, I'm drinking every night, and, you know, I'm getting a lot of hangovers, and I've lost track of the amount of people I've been with during the night, and, you know, I'm having a lot of fun, but I'm just wondering where it's all headed. And, you know, you have that niggling feeling under you of like, oh, maybe this isn't the best way, and I need to make a change. What's going to compel you to make a change? Now, we're not talking about physical place here, by the way. We're talking about, I suppose, an inner place. It's a place where you come to with both your brain and your spirit and your heart and your inner person all comes together and says, nah, we have to stop. And we get so overcome and overwhelmed by that thing of having to stop that we just have no choice. When we have all of those things aligned, we just need to stop. And then we put our will in there as well. So instead of reaching for the bottle, we don't. And we kind of put a stop to it. Now, addiction is well and truly part of this world. Now, I must admit, I've never really been addicted to anything, so who am I to talk about this stuff? But certainly for Clapton and Winwood, it worked for them, and they came into a moment where they were compelled to make a change. And one of the best ways, I suppose, for musicians to talk about their change is to write a song about it, because every time that they would sing this song, they would be reminded about that decision they made. So if you're in a situation right now where life's a bit out of control and perhaps there's some addiction, we need to call it out for what it is. If it is an addiction, well, it's something that you look forward to doing time and time again. Now, I'm not judging you here, really. I'm just pointing out that, the decision time is probably right now to decide what you're going to do about that. Otherwise, it's going to be another 5-10 years before things change. Maybe you need a presence of the Lord moment, a place where your heart and your mind and your will and your decisions all line up. So I trust that will be an encouragement for you today. Well, on to the clips. We've got 2 live songs from this album today. We do have Presence of the Lord, again off the Blind Faith album of 1969. This is live from 2007. Now, this seems to be an Eric Clapton concert. Now, obviously, when you go to Eric Clapton, you hear his incredible songs, his cruisy style, and his incredible guitar playing. What we can say, he's one of the best ever. And he announces here that we've been waiting for so long to get together to do this. And who does he bring on stage with him? Steve Winwood. Now, of course, Steve Winwood is an incredible keyboard player, piano player, and he's got a pretty amazing voice as well. And so it was such a pretty cool moment to see both Steve and Eric on stage as they sing this song, Presence of the Lord. This got a bit of a gospel feel to it, bit bluesy, bit cruisy, but also a little bit introspective and reflective at the same time. So, and of course, Presence of the Lord has to have an Eric Clapton guitar solo in it, which it does. This song is just beautifully paced. It just goes with the flow a bit. It gives the time and space for us to reflect on what is important. So we've got Presence of the Lord. We've also got the song Sea of Joy. Also came off the Blind Faith album of 1969. Now, this particular footage is from that iconic 100,000 strong concert from Hyde Park. And so we'll get to see Blind Faith in their one and only live gig that they ever did. But oh my goodness, what an incredible bunch of musicians who got together for that concert. So Sea of Joy, I haven't listened too much to the lyrics here, but I'm thinking it's kind of flowing on a little bit by Presence of the Lord a little bit, and thinking, well, okay, we've made this decision and life seems to be a bit better. So I think Blind Faith is just more needed, probably more for the musicians at this point, because they all realise that their life needed to change, and nothing like a new decade coming up, being given 1970 to do that. So that's a live version as well from that iconic 1969 Hyde Park concert. Now, I thought I'd also include a Wikipedia entry on the album Blind Faith for you to have a look at. And I've also got a link to the lyrics to Presence of the Lord as well. So if you want to know a little bit more about what the song was about, both of those things are there for you. So all the links to all of those things are in the description below. That's where you'll always find my links. I never embed my videos in videos. Always put links below. Well, if you have come back for another one, or if this is your first time to Life Reflections Through Music, thank you everybody for coming, and welcome to the channel for the first timers. And the encouragement always is to hang around to the end of my videos, because we may find something interesting. Well, there was a bit of a pause in the series today because of this request, but we will go on to Rock and Roll Hall inductees at Def Leppard next time. So until then, I'll catch you around. Bye for now.